Mickey, let's try the intro as Madame Thénardier. How would she say it?
You get back here, Cosette, and sweep these floors. Otherwise, I'll be forcing you to listen to Russ reviews day in and day out.
That's not a punishment, that's a blessing.
Oh, you would say that, wouldn't you, Russ?
Miss Thénardier, can you actually say the words though?
You are now listening to Russ reviews.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Russ Reviews. I have started the timer because my co-host today, Mickey, really wants this to be true to the original format of 1 hour reviews. I am the aforementioned Russ of Russ Reviews, and I'm so glad to have back recurring guest, episode number one himself, Michael Mangan. What's your middle name? William?
It's Anthony. Guest? Because just seconds ago you called me a co-host.
My co-guest. Well,
Promotion and then
you're a
promotion
recurring
immediately.
guest that in the moment is my co-host.
Okay, okay,
Um,
okay, good.
Michael Anthony
As
Mangan.
co, yeah, hey, yeah. As co-host, I need to make a declaration at the start of this episode.
Okay, well, real quick, we're reviewing Les Mis Volume Two Cassette, and this is going to be strict to the hour. Go ahead, Mickey.
My life has gotten worse since I stopped reading Les Miserables, so this episode couldn't have happened soon enough. We have taken a pretty long break since finishing the volume, and legitimately, I miss the book.
Me too.
I wish that when I was on the train, I could be reading it instead I'm reading other crap. Please let me read this book again.
No, yeah. So
I'm be
Mariusz has been staring at me because I leave my book open face just to like haunt me.
For the name, or is there an actual like etching of his face?
No, just his name in my
Okay.
gilded edition I bought.
Well, that's what I wondered. Maybe there's like beautiful colored prints of every character on every page. I don't know.
Okay, so Mickey, real quick, I need to ask you some questions. How
Yes.
many people have you gotten to read Les Mis?
I got my brother to read it. I got my mom to read it. I got my friend Daniel to read it. He's already passed us. He's been listening to the audiobook. Um, and
Me?
that's it. Just three people. Plus you, yeah, four. Yeah.
I thought Adrian said she'd read it.
Oh, she said she would. Yeah, that would be five. I haven't gotten confirmation that she's started reading it yet, but
Okay. Now, people listening, if you've not followed yet my podcast, can you please, I'm begging you. I did hit 62,
whoa, congratulations.
um, and I would love to see that number go to 63. So, Mrs. Mangan, would it kill you to follow me? My
Oh yeah,
mom,
she'll be listening to this episode.
my mom refuses to follow me. She says it's too complicated. So I just have to send her
Fine.
every new episode as it comes out via text.
Mm.
So I'm gonna count her as a follower. She's 63. So, all right.
But people, don't follow Rust reviews if it prevents you from reading Les Mis. Like it's a large time commitment, and consider the fact that every hour you spend listening to Rust reviews could be spent with reading Les Miserables.
That's not very good co-hosting, Mickey. Um,
Eh,
all right. Speaking of my co-host, Mickey did have a pretty rough review of Russ reviews of Volume One, Fantine. He said it was boring, and he wants us to do the format a little bit better this time. So, Mickey, how are we changing it?
I don't remember saying it was boring. Well, I guess I did. I thought the we don't need to update. We don't need to do a summary of the plot
Yeah. So we're
and take
doing
people
less
through the
plot
entire thing.
summary,
Mhm.
which I think some people did enjoy because no one wants to read this book. They just want to be told what it was about. So we're
Yeah.
going to try to pull back on the plot summarizing, and we're going to try to push forward more high level discussions on each
Well,
book.
the way I see it is we'll be able to detect if we're saying something that requires some plot introduction, some context. And I
Yeah.
think the context we provide to the discussion will just naturally provide a plot summary.
Yes. Great. So this is volume two of the Les Mis Two Dude Book Club, and we are discussing volume two of Les Mis by Victor Hugo, which is entitled Cosette. And in French, do you know what they call the volume?
Um, tape.
A tome.
Is that a tome? Oh, really?
Yeah, so we're discussing tome two, which I found to be delightful. We're going to start off this discussion and review with everyone's favorite game show. Name that miserable!
Miserable.
Where Russell this time will read a quote and Mickey will have to guess which character it is. So I picked three quotes. You ready?
Okay, I'm ready.
Okay. Name that miserable, Mickey. Quote one. After Napoleon, Louis XVIII. After Mestienne, Gribier. Peasant, my name is Gribier. Oh no, I just told you who said the quote.
Was it Grubier?
Oh, I'm so stupid.
Name that quote. He says his own name in the quote. I mean, you got to give the complete quote. You can,
Who's
Russ, I'm so stupid because I still don't know who Grubier is.
okay? Who's Gribier? That's the name that miserable.
Yeah, name that miserable. Put that miserable in his place. Peasant, my name is Grubier. Oh, I know who that is. That's the replacement gravedigger.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
that guy's
Mickey,
hilarious.
I totally biffed this project.
Did you pick three quotes, all of which include the speaker's name
All
in the
right,
quote?
Mickey, name that miserable. Pro-
Name that miserable. That is the fastest train I've ever seen. Otherwise, my name isn't Jean Valjean.
Okay. Provincial, said the man. If, if you positively insist upon it, I consent. We will drink. After work, never before.
This is the same guy. Croupier.
I'm so stupid. What did I do? Holy cow. Why am I so bad at this?
It's the
Okay.
same guy. He is the best character in the book for sure. Um,
He had a great cameo. One of my favorite cameos of this book. We'll get to him in book 8. Cemeteries that which is committed to take that which is committed to them. All right, this one is
well,
not.
I think hey, Russ, this is a moment to provide a little bit of context since we've already devoted so many minutes to him. This character Grubier that Russ is so infatuated with and wanted to dunk on me with by giving me three quotes.
Wait, no, I have one more. I have one more. We only did two.
I understand, but I just want to give everybody a
Yeah.
little context before, because hearing the quote is they need to be able to place it. This is a guy who was a sort of a surprise character at the end of this whole uh, section of the book that we read. He was a sort of uh, nerdy grave digger, which is a just hilarious concept to me. And these quotes are all like indicative of him being like holier than thou and smarter than thou. And he's part of just one of the most hilarious and uh, kind of tense scenes in the book so far.
Yeah, it veered into slapstick almost. It felt like an Albert Brooks comedy. Like
Yeah.
so good. Okay. Name that
Or
miserable.
my name is Croupier.
All right, this one's good. This one's good. I understood the assignment for this one. Uh, she will grow up ugly.
Oh, this isn't Groovier.
No,
I know who this
she
is.
will grow up ugly.
This is the like mother superior in the convent talking
Yes.
about Cosette. Yes, I don't remember her name. Probably Madame self-flagellation.
Yeah, something like that. Madam
Uh,
Crucifixion.
yeah, the
Uh,
in my book that quote was actually simply "She will be plain."
oh, that's much kinder.
Yeah.
I feel like mine's probably more literal. We'll have to reference the French. So,
Uh,
yeah, Mother Superior, Reverend Mother, Mother Superior, whatever you want to call her. That's why she thought Cassette would be a great nun. So,
yeah.
Which
That
we'll
was a
we'll
great
get into
section.
that in book 6 and 7 here. So that was name that miserable.
I'm just glad the third one wasn't also the Gravedigger.
All right. So Mickey, as we ended tome one, Jean Valjean was fleeing into the night and quickly into tome two. Hugo decides it's a great time to get into a little section on Waterloo.
Hmm.
So we have a
Which did you
bit.
know what country? Did you know what country Waterloo is in before this book?
It's not in France.
No, it's in Belgium.
Oh, kind of tomato,
Yeah.
tomato. Come on.
Yeah. It's weird. I
Uh,
associate that word so much with England because of like Waterloo Station, Waterloo Sunset,
right.
the Kinks song. And what maybe the Kinks song is actually about Les Mis. Is that possible?
No, I don't know. What? Okay, so
Is it?
he ends tome one with this huge cliffhanger, and then he makes us read about the Battle of Waterloo for pages upon pages upon pages,
Mhm.
all to, in my view, tell us that Thénardier was a bad dude who liked to steal jewelry from dead soldiers.
Yeah, that's
But
what it builds up to.
I was wondering, what did you make of this section? Was it necessary? To me, it felt self-indulgent, and if I was editor, I would have said, "Vicky, baby, I love you, but you gotta cut it."
Hmm. I think this section would have made a great blog post. And if Victor Hugo had like a blog, like or a Substack, like
Substack, yeah,
authors
yeah.
do, yeah, he could have published this as like a, hey guys, I went on a trip to Waterloo and I ended up going on a real deep dive. I don't know where else this would possibly go in one of my books, so I'm just gonna post it here. But back then he had no choice. He's like, well, there's only one place to put all these thoughts. I guess it's this book that has nothing to do with it.
They had newspapers. He could have done an op-ed.
Yeah, maybe. Um,
I just thought it was funny because it's like I want to just know what happened to Jean Valjean.
Yeah, yeah, dear listener, you may be among those who quit this book after getting to this section. I've heard of a lot of people who started reading it and stopped when they got to Waterloo.
Yes.
Looking back on it now, it's not that long actually, but it feels forever. It's only 46 pages long, um, which feels like a little blip in the history of the book now. But while I was reading it, I was like, man, how much can someone say about one battle?
Yeah. Well, and I think too, like I had no context for it. I did not understand like the nuance of what he was getting at.
Mhm.
And Faulkner has that quote, like, kill your darlings, you know? And to me, this just felt like a good moment where Hugo could have saved us some time. And Thénardier, we already knew was a bad dude. And
Yeah.
it was kind of cool to see that payoff. Like, I did like how he connected it to Thénardier, but end of the day, I think I would have cut it. But do you want to play Angel's Advocate and make the argument for why it should have been included?
Yeah, definitely. Like ultimately, I think that the this book is as much about the history of France and that moment in time
Mm-hmm.
uh, as anything else. And I think that the book is in the shadow of Napoleon.
Yeah.
It's all playing out in the shadow of Napoleon, and without an understanding of Napoleon as a figure, um, you're not going to necessarily empathize with a lot of the conversations between characters about whether he was a good guy or a bad guy. And this book is just like a pure, like, okay, read these 40 pages and understand like how epic a figure of history Napoleon is. Like there's
Yeah.
just quotes about his like it really gives a sense of his feeling of being destined to rule the world
Mm-hmm.
and the unlikelihood that these like this alliance of the Prussians and the English would come together on that night of any night to finally put a stop to his this world domination campaign.
Right.
And so I think that that is I thought it was a really great section that yeah, the only bad thing I would say about it is that it takes away from the momentum of the Jean Valjean story.
Yeah, which you could say though is a contemporary demand. Like what I think is nice about it is, and I think this is true of a lot of older literature, is that there's no pressure to be efficient. Like books were long and leisurely, and like um, I'm reading Augustine a little bit, City of God, and that was like several books, like thousands of pages. Like they're I feel like in the 21st century, we just have this demand for everything needs to be condensed and efficient and quick. And there was something nice about how leisurely it was. I think it felt boring because I had no context for that
Mhm.
for Napoleon. I tried to watch a Napoleon miniseries
Uh-huh.
because of this section, and um I don't know why, but the audio was not synced up with the lips, so I had to stop it. Um,
Mhm.
and then I don't have Apple TV, so I couldn't watch the Joaquin Phoenix one. But
Yeah, the I don't know, this you probably got all you need to know just from reading this section.
yeah, but if you are reading Les Mis and you're like wanting to stop, just skip. Just go to book two, and you really won't miss much. All you need to know is that Thénardier steals jewelry from dead soldiers.
Yeah,
But
yeah, honestly, I wouldn't dispute that advice.
yeah,
You could totally skip this section and
didn't your
um
author move part of this to the back?
no, actually.
That comes later.
Um my translator, yeah, there's one section that he moved to the back
Okay,
that's
we'll get to that later. Okay, let's go on to book two,
okay, well,
Mickey.
well, just a little. I just happened to open up a page to a quote that might be interesting. Like this kind of sums up the entirety of the Waterloo section
Hmm.
on page 318 in my book. The narrator says, "We must read into Waterloo no more than it truly represented.
Mm,
There was no intention of liberty. The counter-revolution involuntarily turned liberal, just as Napoleon, by a parallel phenomenon, involuntarily turned revolutionary. On 18th of June, 1815, that Robespierre on horseback was unseated."
mm,
So I think his whole point is drawing the similarities of the just intensity and overwhelmingness of Napoleon and the intensity and overwhelmingness of the French Revolution and Robespierre and what he did. Both just lost the plot and got bloodthirsty, and uh, I think that's a pretty like nuanced comparison. Um, because yeah, that's what's so fascinating to me about this French history I'm learning is that like they have an example of the People's Revolution and the people choosing to have an emperor
hmm.
both within just like a few decades. It's a pretty amazing thing that I think is still being figured out to this day.
Yeah. Oh man, I just lost the quote. There's a great quote in there that all revolutions are the French Revolution. Like that first revolution in France kind of set this chain reaction around the globe. That yeah, I do think it paints kind of that picture of uh, he's speaking to his contemporaries in a lot of ways and kind of processing what they all just had walked through.
Yeah, exactly.
There's also a great quote about how kind of tackling the topic of providence within war. Um,
Mhm.
Here it is. Napoleon had been denounced in the infinite, and his fall had been decided on. He embarrassed God. Waterloo is not a battle; it is a change of front on the part of the universe. Almost like a Icarus type thing of like he flew too close to the sun, and God was like, "Nah, bro, it's time."
Yeah,
Oh, you're making me
yeah.
like this chapter more now.
Well, good.
Don't
I mean,
skip it.
plus there's a great gnarly section about like a a chasm, sort of a like a moat-ish valley that was protecting the um British troops, was it?
Hmm.
And the French attacked it full on, and and they couldn't see that there was a drop, so the cavalry just fell into this gap, and
Right.
just the horses and people just piled up in this gap until it became a bridge across. It was like the grossest image.
Right.
So yeah, a lot of like if you like war descriptions and stuff, then this would, yeah, for like a kid reading this book, this would probably be like a more exciting section.
Yeah.
Kid, but
I found the quote.
I also
Okay.
hmm,
All the revolutions of Europe since 1792 are the French Revolution. Liberty darts raised from France, that is a solar fact. Blind is he who will not see. It was Bonaparte who said it.
hmm.
All right, I'm getting bored though. Let's move on.
Yeah, let's do it.
The
The
ship
very next
Orion.
section, yeah, the very next sentence after this chapter sort of explains why they needed it, because this
Mhm.
would have been such a buzzkill of a sentence if it came right if it came right at the end of book one.
Can you read it?
Yeah, so the whole ending, where you last left us, dear listener, was Jean Valjean has broken out and is free thanks to the nun telling the one lie of her life. Um, and we're excited to see what he accomplishes next. And so if we didn't have the Waterloo section, the very next sentence would be Jean Valjean.
That's so
The very next
funny.
the very next sentence would be Jean Valjean had been recaptured.
I hadn't thought of that. That would have been hilarious.
Yeah.
Dude, this book's funny.
Uh,
This book
I
is
know
funny.
it really is. Yeah.
Yeah, so how did that hit you? I was just like, are you kidding
Oh,
me? He got
yeah, I was
recaptured? That
yeah,
dunce.
I was so bummed, but I kind of had a feeling he might get away again. So
Yeah.
I he's just too noble for his own good.
Again, what did you think of all the boat talk?
Oh, love that boat talk.
Did you like the
Those
boat
boats
talk?
are those boats are big.
This was a
Those boats
lot
are
of
real
good boat
big.
talk.
Yeah,
Have you ever hung out by an ocean or like a lake?
sort of. Definitely by a lake. Yeah,
This, but well, you are a sailor. You're constantly talking about it, part of a
yeah.
sailing
True.
club.
Hmm.
So if you spend time by oceans or lakes, you will see elderly gentlemen usually watching the boats go by. And that's kind of what I was envisioning with this chapter. Hugo must have been a guy that just liked chilling by the ports watching the boats come in and out cuz it's like the kids that love trains. Like we get a lot of good boat talk. And what it's kind of setting up is a pretty cool scene where Jean Valjean escapes. But why does he escape, Mickey?
In order to save the life of someone else.
Right. And he's like, well, while I'm doing this, I might as well flee for my liberty as well.
Right. He basically asks he's shackled and
Well,
working
quote
on this
unquote
boat.
shackled, because those shackles were just a suggestion of bondage. How quickly he broke it.
Right. No, but he basically just asked for permission. He had his shackles on and asked for permission. Can
Can
I
I?
unshackle myself and go save this man's life who is not a prisoner?
Yeah.
And the warden said, "Sure, go ahead." And then he just breaks them and
That,
scales the mast of this giant ship.
yeah,
And
that was
yeah,
such a
we
cool
that's a cool
flex.
section. Yeah, we hear that story because the form of the storytelling is like a newspaper article. It's like this article
Yeah,
appeared
yeah.
in the Parisian Daily on this date, and it describes our hero Jean Valjean saving the guy's life.
Yeah. Well, and that's kind of what I love about Hugo in this book is that his sense of pacing is so fun in that he'll have these very long, boring sections, and then
Hmm.
he'll pivot to these sections where you just can't put the book down. You're just like, I have to keep reading. And he does that
Yeah,
about three times, I feel, in this section where I'm just like, and we'll talk about this a little more, but how in the world did he make this book so dang exciting as like
yeah.
19th century literature? Like it just doesn't make any sense.
Well, I don't know. Maybe there's a lot more books like this that are that exciting.
Our
I haven't
teachers
read
just
that
weren't,
many from this time.
our teachers were just picking the boring ones.
Yeah, we were reading Jane Eyre. We could have been. I would have rather read Les Mis 4 times than
What's
Jane
the
Eyre.
one where the lady walks into a lake at the end of the book?
I don't know, Wuthering Heights maybe,
The Awakening, I think.
or Hamlet. Hamlet, she does that.
The Awakening. I couldn't. I would just like be so inclined to swim. I don't know if walking into a lake would be the way for me to go.
Hmm.
Sorry.
I
All
don't
right,
know.
so the ship Orion's a lot of good boat talk, and then a very exciting scene where Jean Valjean saves a man's life and then plummets into the ocean and people think dies. Do you think he was planning to escape, or was it just like, oh, well, I'm here, might as well just keep swimming? Like, why didn't he
Oh,
go
I think.
back? Why didn't he go back to the warden?
Well, I think he had escape on his mind at all times.
Okay,
Um, that was pretty much demonstrated from his first prison sentence, where he tried to escape 3 times, I think. And now he still had a mission. He was still on a mission to go make sure Cosette is safe.
yeah. Oh, beautiful segue. Beautiful segue. Okay. That moves us into the third book, which for me was called. Could we tell? I like comparing these actually. Mine was called
Mhm.
Accomplishment of the Promise Made to the Dead Woman. What was yours?
Mine was just fulfillment of a promise.
See, my translation rules, dude.
Well, we got to go to the
Mine's so
French.
lyrical and beautiful and like poetic. I feel like Mr. Denny's being a little wooden over there, a little wooden,
Maybe, I don't know.
little wooden. Um, I'm taking a Greek class, and there's so many great quotes on translations. But someone quoted, "All translations are a lie," basically. And I was like,
That's
"Oh,
awesome.
that's sick. That's so true." I need to text these to you because I was thinking about you a lot during this class. But okay, book three. The promise made to Fantine to care for her daughter is fulfilled. And before the question, I just wanted to say, like, this might have been my favorite part of the book so far, and it was the one section where I got like genuinely emotional when
Mm.
Cosette was delivered. Like
Mm.
it felt like a true moment of redemption and deliverance, where someone's rescued from a very harrowing situation by um, yeah, just by a redeemer, and it just felt like it had echoes of the gospel story, and I just found it very moving. I was like, I felt kind of stupid. I was like, why am I feeling so emotional about this little girl being rescued? And I was curious just for you, like how did this section? So basically, this is the master of the house, keeper of the inn.
Oh, so you did, you watched
No, I watched Curb Your Enthusiasm,
it?
and Larry David has an episode where this song gets stuck in his head. I had no idea it was a Les Mis song, but it is.
That's hilarious.
So I know one song, Master of the House.
Mhm.
So we get the full scope of how awful the Tenardiers are to Cosette, and then Jean Valjean goes about rescuing her. Were
Right, but of
you?
course we don't. Oh, absolutely. And I was also moved by the way Jean Bel, like I love how Victor Hugo, like every once in a while, like conceals the identity. It seems to be a theme.
That was so
Jean Valjean,
stupid.
I know, but it was stupid when he became the mayor too, and we were not supposed to know it's him.
I
But
thought that
again,
was a
it's like
little less stupid. I liked that.
I just love this shadowy figure appearing in the woods near the inn, and who could he be? And we, of course, do know that he's Jean Valjean, but Victor Hugo's not saying it yet.
Yeah.
And he approaches the way he encounters her. Like Cosette is in like the most miserable,
Hmm.
fearful moment of her life, basically having to get water in the middle of the night from this terrifying, like dark forest.
Hmm.
And just when she's like as scared as she can possibly be, she's offered kindness by this man who turns out is has come to save her from her miserable life.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was touched. It was an amazing section. But it was especially amazing to just read about. Thénardier's like resistance to giving up Cosette.
Hmm.
Because basically he cannot fathom that this man exists, Jean Valjean, who apparently has a lot of money and isn't and is willing to do anything for who in Thénardier's eyes is a worthless human being, Cosette.
Hmm.
It was just a very cool contrast of like someone who has virtue versus someone who has mortgaged all of his virtues for the last 5 decades.
Yeah. I think for me, because I was reflecting on this quite a bit, and I noticed a lot of the stories that I really liked as a kid had some element of this. Like the go-to for me was like Harry Potter being kind of redeemed from the was it the not the Pugsleys, the
The
Dursleys.
Dursleys. Yeah.
Matilda, remembering that movie very vividly, being like, "Oh, I hope
Oh
she
my
can."
God. Harry Potter's life under the stairs looks like heaven compared to Cosette.
Right, right, but still, it's like a similar thing. Lady and the Tramp, like Tramp getting saved from the kennel. But more recently, the last time I felt this way was Killers of the Flower Moon. When,
Mm.
oh, do you remember her name?
The actress or the character?
The character.
Which character? Lily Gladstone's character?
Lily, yeah, well, we'll say Lily.
Yeah.
So Lily Gladstone,
Yeah.
like, do you remember that feeling when she got rescued finally? Like,
At the end, yeah.
I was
Yeah.
ready to jump through the screen to save her life
Mhm.
because I was just like, and I was like, Scorsese's gonna kill her. He's gonna kill her. He kills everyone. That's
Yeah.
what's gonna happen. And
Yeah.
when she got rescued, that was the
Mhm.
exact same feeling I had when Jean Valjean got Cosette
Mm.
out of there because I was like, there's no way he's gonna get her out of there. Like she's gonna be stuck there forever.
Yeah.
Um, and I wanted to mention this idea of redemption. So back in the day, it used to mean the action of buying one's freedom. So like you could redeem someone that had been kind of trapped in slavery or bondage or et cetera, et cetera. So there's that famous story of I think it was Ruth, like she was redeemed by Boaz and blah blah blah.
Mhm.
But in contemporary society, I think we often are forced to feel like we have to redeem ourselves. Like there's this whole notion of self-redemption. And I love the stories where people are not positioned to redeem themselves and then someone can come in and someone comes in and rescues them. Like there's just something very inspirational to me about that. And I don't know, I just was really struck by it. I felt so
It's
nervous
cool.
reading this whole section.
Yeah. Yeah, it was really, really tense. Again, just like a contrast to the Waterloo section. Maybe that's why he put the Waterloo section in to like remind us in the exciting moments how great an author he is.
Hmm.
Uh, so tell me again, I don't know if I was clear on that. The original definition of redemption refers to somebody buying their own freedom.
No, no, because you couldn't buy your freedom. You
Okay.
usually didn't. No, it was the action of buying one's freedom. So usually it was a third party.
Okay, so this is a very like pure example of it.
Yes, yeah. Which
Even though,
I don't think you see a lot in modern literature. It's usually where people are liberating themselves or like redeeming themselves. Um,
yeah, good point.
but like Harry Potter, like he just wasn't he couldn't enroll himself into a magical wizard school. You know, like Lily Gladstone couldn't escape from being gradually poisoned. Like she didn't know. Uh,
Yeah.
she was being gaslit so bad.
Yeah, it is truly heartbreaking to imagine Cosette's life if Jean Valjean hadn't made it to the end that day.
Yeah. Well, and I have a 4 year old, and just thinking about him being stuck in
Mhm.
that life was like, I think that was part of the emotion too. It's just like thinking about August having to live under a table and be
Mhm.
bullied by other kids, and the whole thing with the doll. I was just like, oh my gosh, quit playing with my emotions, man.
Mhm. Well, sure, Russ, you treat your own son really well, but what about the other 4-year-old who you are keeping at your house to help, who you
Petit
claim to be?
Petit Gervais, who lives
Yeah,
in my
Petit
chicken coop.
Gervais.
No,
Yeah.
he's he's a miserable. He doesn't deserve love.
Interesting.
Uh, Sir Russell, may I have a crust of bread? Quiet, Petit Gervais. Quiet back there. That's funny that Petit just popped in. He must have heard his name.
Yeah, good timing.
Sweep August room. Yeah. Yes, sir. Sorry, sir.
Comb August's flowing blonde locks.
Okay, so I love this section. Jean
Yeah.
Valjean flees the scene, and snitches get stitches, but the Thenardier doesn't care. They snitch. We get into the Gorbeau hovel. I don't really have anything to say about the Gorbeau hovel, do you?
Um, well, not really. Well, I do have something to say about him leaving with Cosette. Just
Yeah.
in, I know you haven't seen the musical, but this is a for fans of the musical if they're listening,
Well, I'm
like
gonna take my headphones off.
the,
Wave to me when.
no,
Wait, I have to listen to this anyway. Just
no,
don't
this isn't
spoil
a
it.
spoiler. It's not a spoiler. I'm just saying that this plot element does happen in the musical. Jean
What?
Valjean does
Spoiler.
recover. Yeah, he does. Basically, he gets squeezed by Thénardier to like pay more and more and more to get him. But
Yeah.
it's a very comical scene. It's not nearly as heart-wrenching in the
Mm,
musical as it is in the book, and
okay.
not nearly as meaningful. And the way, yeah, the pursuit when Thénardier finally lets Jean Valjean go under a certain price, he still follows him into the woods to try and figure out what he's going to be up to. And meanwhile, uh, Jean Valjean sees that this is happening and eventually gets off
Mm,
his tail and then finds refuge in this place that he had already scoped out before fetching Cosette, this
yeah.
kind of forgotten quarter of Paris, where he can just live this differently miserable life, but one where no one knows who they are and he can just make sure that Cosette gets what she needs.
Yeah. It seemed less miserable because it was at least there was more meaning imbued into it.
Yeah, but like the actual lodging, like this was
Yeah.
just like a high density, like badly kept uh home and in the darkness. Like it was far from any window
Yeah.
and it was hard to get to. But he just had his money saved up from whenever when he was mayor. He
Hmm.
left with some money and hid it, and now he still has access to it.
Yeah.
Which of
Would you,
course could be his undoing because he sewed all his cash into his jacket,
yeah.
and
No,
then
I
people
had a
would see
great
him.
I had a great question come up that I thought of uniquely. Would you have called the authorities if you were the owner of the Gorbo hovel?
Of course not. Why would you even ask me that?
I don't know. I mean, I just thought of a great question. I wouldn't
All
either.
right.
I'm a staunch snitches get stitches, especially for something like that. No, I would never. Not in a million years.
And I don't know, it's hard to tell if the landlady there actually did call the authorities or if she was just a gossip and she had a
Yeah.
suspicion that this guy had money and then that rumor ended up making its way back to a certain individual with an
Right.
interest in one
Ooh,
Jean
let's
Valjean.
talk about that. His coat, that's a 10 out of 10 trench coat. Like, come on.
Mm.
A trench coat that's also like a safe, that's also a closet, that's also like that's like I had this dream in high school that I could live out of my Toyota Corolla. And
Mm.
then in college I bought pots and pans and I was like, wait, where am I going to put all these pots and pans?
In my Corolla.
No room in the
That's a good point.
Corolla.
Of
So I
course.
quickly abandoned that dream of like being able to flee at any minute. But I was like, oh, I should have
Mm.
went the trench coat path, and I could have just been in my Corolla in the trench coat. And I don't know, something about
Dangling pots
the
of pan.
nomad lifestyle really appeals to me. But seeing all the like
Yeah,
van life YouTubers, I'm like, oh, that lifestyle seems pretty hard too. So
I would say so. Yeah, tiny houses. I don't know. I'm more of a mansion guy myself.
yeah, well, the van life, you're always worried about getting robbed or kidnapped, I think. So.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, can you fill in the blank? I'm forgetting. How did Javert find them?
Oh yeah. So Javert, our hero. Oh
Ah,
wait, no,
yes.
we hate him. Uh,
Well, you hate
he
him. I have some questions.
there is there is a terrifying moment when Jean Valjean is passing by this beggar who he's occasionally given a few francs to, or
Hmm.
sous to. And one night, when walking home to Cosette, he gives the beggar some money, and the light catches the beggar's face in such a way that Jean Valjean feels as if he's seen a ghost, because he thought for sure he was looking into the face of Javert, his arch nemesis.
That's
Um,
right. That
yeah,
was this section. I
and
thought it was in book one or in volume one.
no, no. And so then we're left wondering, how could it possibly have been Javert? Is Jean Valjean having a hallucination?
Yeah, yeah.
And he convinces himself he was having a hallucination, because how could Javert possibly have found him? But we learned that he had been, honestly, he was just a little bit too generous while in hiding. Jean Valjean developed a reputation as this weirdly poorly dressed guy who also gives money to beggars. And and that idea was so shocking to the gossipy townsfolk that that story made its way all the way to Javert, wherever he was stationed in France at the time. And he pulled whatever strings he needed to look into this further, because he wasn't convinced by the newspaper article reporting Jean Valjean's death
Right.
uh, in the marina, or the shipyard. And so he went undercover as a beggar near this home where this gossip, where this rumor originated, and confirmed for himself that Jean Valjean lived and is hiding in this house.
Hmm.
And Javert then takes a room himself in the same building. And Jean Valjean begins noticing that somebody is watching them or listening for them.
Hmm.
Because Javert isn't going to sound the alarm right away. He also needs to do his due diligence and make sure that who he saw was indeed Jean Valjean. So he starts following him around, and then eventually Jean Valjean gets nervous and decides they gotta move. They gotta go somewhere else.
Right. They flee. And it segues into another super exciting part of the book where I just could not put
Yeah.
it down. The chase scene, like this was one of the
Mhm.
most well-written chase scenes I've ever read. And I really felt like you got a great visual of what was happening in a way that a lot of suspense novels, even nowadays, I don't feel like they totally know how to capture it. And yeah, it was just cool. It was a cool chase scene. It was a cool escape. It was just like it felt like a Ben Affleck, what's that movie he did? Um,
The town.
The Town. It was just like, man, I'm reading a 19th century novel and I feel like I'm watching The Town. How cool is this?
Hmm.
I gotta
Yeah,
ask
it's
you though. I gotta ask you. Different movie, right? If this was like CSI, FBI, or like some police show, you know, Law and Order Paris. I think Javert's the good guy. Because what is he doing? He's looking for a kidnapper
hmm.
who is a fraudster who
Hmm.
impersonates people. He lies. He steals from
Yeah.
priests.
Hmm.
And then he's abducting small children. Like maybe Javert's just an advocate of justice.
Yeah, maybe he is. Uh, the kidnapping does add an interesting element. So yeah, Javert left book one, or volume one, tome one, an utterly pathetic dork who's just obsessed with getting
Yeah, he's
this
a
guy
he's
behind
a
bars
he's a narc.
who
He's
has
a classic narc.
more than served. But you're right. Now that he still was convinced himself that Jean Valjean is a bad guy.
Right.
And then once you have that prejudice already, and then find out that he supposedly kidnapped a child,
Right.
then I can see this kind of like refreshing his perspective to a point where he's like, oh no, this guy's
Right.
definitely terrible.
Now the
But
truth
yeah,
is that the Thénardiers were using Cosette as an extortion tool, and she was kind of
right,
kidnapped by them.
exactly.
So it's like a double kidnap. Um,
Yeah, but the fact that Fantine had her child kidnapped isn't interesting to the
Yeah,
authorities. The fact that an innkeeper had
right,
their ward kidnapped is an
right.
interesting
Because Jean
thing.
Valjean is not kidnapping. He was given custody by Fantine, basically.
Yeah,
So he's
yeah, it
just
has
getting his
all the
kid back.
documentation.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm just kind of being silly, but I do
I
think
know,
it's
and what you're saying, Russ, is great because it would make for an awesome like
SNL skit.
sketch.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think what's funny though
Without,
is
without very
everyone,
much
have you
giggling.
noticed this? Everyone thinks they're Jean Valjean, and
Yeah.
everyone also thinks the thing they're against is Javert. So we just have
Yeah.
all these people across the political spectrum being like, I'm Jean Valjean. No, I'm Jean Valjean. No, I'm
Right.
Jean Valjean. It's like, you know what? Maybe we're all just a bunch of Javerts. You know,
Yeah.
we're all just a bunch of dorks.
Hmm. Yeah. I think their names are so similar on purpose.
Yeah,
Hugo did that on purpose. They're two sides of the same coin.
yeah, I
We
do
have
love
no
it.
Javert without a Jean Valjean.
So Jean Valjean, we're in a little low on time, so I want to keep us moving. Jean Valjean flees. He escapes successfully, magically almost, and he ends up in a convent.
Mm.
And he runs into an old buddy,
Yeah.
old wagon legs. I forget his name. I'm gonna call him Old Wagon Legs. But
I love it.
in volume one, it's the guy that he saves from the wagon.
Right, which is so funny because when it was happening, like the book was just stacking all these amazing accomplishments on Jean
Right.
Valjean's resume. Just one thing after another, saving people from burning buildings, saving a dude from a wagon, bringing this entire town into prosperity. Like it was just one thing after another, and then I thought it was it didn't matter what those details were, but sure enough, one of those recipients of his heroics
Mm-hmm.
turns out to be the guy who is
Mm-hmm.
the gardener, the one man ever permitted to live on the grounds of this very, very ancient convent.
Right.
Uh, him is the man whose life Jean Valjean saved back in Montreal-sur-Mer.
You don't remember his name, do you?
Oh, wagon legs, right?
Old Wagon Legs.
Old wagon legs. Um,
I can't
yes,
remember.
the man with the bell. He
Yeah,
walks around with a bell on him to warn the nuns that a man is nearby so that they can scurry away if necessary.
because he was so hot.
Exactly. Old smoking hot wagon legs.
Old smoking hot wagon legs. He does have
Uh,
a name. We don't know his name. Sorry. We
I just
will
think that's better.
we will call him wagon legs. Sorry if your legs have been crushed by wagon. Okay, but what's really interesting is that after all this excitement, we get into another section of pontificating, and I would call this book six and book seven, which are titled for me. Oh, wait, real quick. What was book five called for you?
Oh,
Mine's called
uh,
A Black Hunt, a Mute Pack.
that's cool.
Isn't that cool?
Before was just called the Gorbo Tenement.
Mine was called The Gorbo
And
Hovel.
mm, Severity? Wait, where is it? No, wait, book five. Wait, what the heck? I can't
Oh,
find it. Where's book five?
you could look in your table of contents up there.
Oh, mine was simply called Hunt in Darkness.
See, mine's better. Once again, two for two. Okay, so book six is called Le Petit Picu, and book seven is called Parentheses. Um, I would call this section a diatribe, not a
Mm.
observation. And I'm pretty convinced that Hugo must be a Protestant who grew up Catholic, because that's how this whole thing read. I'm fairly convinced he's some version of Christian. I think that's and Jean Valjean is like a very stereotypical Christ figure. Like the whole redemption arc is I feel like him redeeming Cosette is like a Christological allegory. I don't think there's much argument on that. But he does seem to have some issues with Catholicism and the monastic order. And I was
Yeah.
curious just because he also has an axe to grind with atheism, which I'm all here for. Uh, But what did you make of his? He really did not seem to like comments.
Yeah, he spends a lot of time talking about what he doesn't like. I read this book uh called Gideon the Ninth. It is one of the funniest books I've ever read in my life. It is just super entertaining sci-fi fantasy in space. And it basically takes place in a world that is, I think, what Victor Hugo thinks of convents. Just like lifeless, miserable people uh, foregoing any worldly pleasure or delight in service of a promise
Hmm.
that uh, is meant to keep. In Gideon the Ninth, there's this undead emperor god that they are hoping will return someday, and they are just literally they all have skeleton slaves, and they are ancient beings that have never smiled in their lives. It's just a cartoonish look, and I think Victor Hugo would have loved that book.
Okay.
Um,
Now,
but
the
yeah,
reason I'm asking you is like, for me, I definitely grew up in more Protestant streams of Christianity, so I don't totally understand the what's described as religious life when one does decide to take a monastic pledge or join a convent. And I
mhm.
was just curious in growing up around it more, like what is the draw? What is the appeal? And do you think they're as bad as Hugo is saying, or do you think there's room for it in kind of Christian thinking for monastic living?
um, I think I don't. I think that he's exaggerating
Yeah,
the
I agree.
misery of this convent in order to prove his own point. I have met monks, I have met nuns. They are people overflowing with
Yeah,
joyful life.
same, same.
And and so this is a different kind of convent that is just fringe conservative, um, that also has its place in this novel. Like it saves the
Mm,
life of Jean Valjean and Cosette. Um, I think that this is like what I admire about monasteries and monastic living is like the dedication that the members have to knowledge and,
mm-hmm.
yes, self-improvement by looking towards God and Christ, and but also just, yeah, education.
Yeah.
They're all very learned people, and this convent that Jean Valjean ends up at is clearly it is a school, but like
Mm-hmm.
the life of the nuns inside has very little to do with learning about the world. It's all to do with self-sacrifice.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think that he needed to make that exaggeration because it is. I actually do believe that such convents may have existed. Um,
Oh, no doubt, no
and
doubt.
yeah, there was a certain level of extremeness that he is comparing it at the end. At the end of this section, Jean Valjean is reflecting on the way this convent is compared to the way that life in prison was.
Yeah,
And I think Victor Hugo is making an amazing point at like the similarities between, practically speaking, what it looks like to be a monk or a nun and what it looks like to be a prisoner,
right.
and how one of those groups of people is doing it as an act of service, at least in their own minds, and one of it is doing as an act of punishment.
Yeah. Well, I think that's where religious life gets troubled is that I think in order for it to be pure, it has to be a thing of self-selection. Like you have to decide to become a monk,
Mm.
to become a nun. I think what happened in church history is that sometimes these places were used as boarding schools or like ways to reform troubled people. So like you weren't self-selecting to become a nun. You were put into the nunnery because you were a bad person, and they're trying to like beat it out of you almost. You know what I mean? Like parents would be like, take this troubled kid from me and please make them right. And that's where the monasteries can feel more like a jail situation.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
know
very
how
good
common
point.
that is anymore, but I know that that was common practice at times in history.
Yeah, it's not gonna make for very wholesome environments if it's only people who are not getting their needs met socially.
Right.
Um,
Well,
So
no, but
like being
what
forced
was
into
so
the
cool about
situation.
the Desert Fathers, where a lot of this comes out of, is like they were opting out of society. No one was forcing
Mhm.
them to. But once
Right.
you're forced into it, I think it kind of loses some of its. I don't know what je ne sais quoi means, but I want to say it because it's French. What
Well,
does that
it's
mean?
very ironic. It means I don't know.
Oh, you don't know?
No, je ne sais quoi. It means I don't know. Do not know what. Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Um,
I like. I mean, I love religious pontificating. It's some of my favorite stuff to do
I just
personally. And
pontificating.
I
Up
didn't,
there with ruminating.
bro. You know me. I love a good rumination. So I love. I love this section. I've heard of people say they stopped reading at this section because they got bored, and I was just like, well, I found this to be the most riveting part for me.
Yeah, it's
Um,
awesome.
because I like that he's not just choosing atheism. Like he's still trying to almost appeal for a better church, appeal for a better way to be Christian. And again, I think Jean Valjean's this beautiful, like he's both a Christ figure, but he's also someone desperately needing salvation too, and mercy and grace from the priests. And it's cool. It's a cool image. Mickey, we have 4 minutes left, and I want to honor
That's awesome.
your demands.
Yes,
Do you have
please.
anything else to say before we get into the slapstick comedy of book 8?
Yeah, I do. I wanted to share just one great quote from the chase. Cosette and Jean Valjean are fleeing the hovel and making their way to anywhere that they could possibly be safe, and they're hiding from Javert and his detectives. And Cosette's just a little girl; she's 4 or 5 years old. And Jean Valjean, when there's a cop right around the corner, he says, "Quiet! It's Madame Thénardier. Don't talk. Leave everything to me. If you make a sound, she'll hear you. She's coming to fetch you back." And that was enough to like just frighten her into silence to save her
Yeah,
own life. Because
That was some
he's
Krampus action.
yeah, he summons the most terrifying image possible, even though it's actually that would be less bad than if Javert catches them. Um, and I thought that was just a really powerful look into like the mind of a child. I think like he
Hmm.
does a really good job writing about children.
Yeah.
Um,
My
and yeah,
my favorite quote from the monastery, since we're sharing faiths, is "She will grow up ugly."
yeah.
But that's in book 8, I think. Cemeteries take that which is committed to them. The last
Hmm.
book of this really brilliant tome. Um, so basically, they come up with another little scheme to help uh, Jean Valjean, which involves him ending up in a casket and
Yeah.
them pretending to bury him, like
Just
pretending that he's a
so
dead
awesome.
nun, and hijinks ensue. There's a bunch of slapstick comedy. There's
Yeah.
oh no, we killed him, and he goes, oh, I'm back, baby. Um, I love this book. It was just funny. It was like a funny little tryst almost. But what did you make of the failed academic who was
Uh,
like, despite his failures and despite him being a gravedigger, living in a hovel himself, he was still like being so mean to the poor wagon legs.
yeah, it was perfect. It was just the perfect source of drama. Like Wagon Legs came up with this perfect plan because basically Jean Valjean and Cosette were now in this convent, but it was definitely not okay for them to be there. And as luck would have it, they could get them off the premises without going into the hands of Javert by sneaking Jean Valjean out in a coffin because there happened to be one available because the mother, like one of the oldest nuns, had just died, and that nun, her dying wish was to be buried in the convent itself.
Which we come
But
to
this
find out
would
all the
break.
nuns are actually buried in the convent.
No, they're not.
Yeah, they
They're
do
buried
this.
in the cemetery nearby.
No, they've been burying fake bodies the whole time. I think all the nuns are in the convent.
Oh, I disagree. I don't know how we'll answer that question right now, but it was a very unique situation that historically they were buried in the convent, but the law of the land in Paris like changes in how bodies are buried. Like it was illegal for them to bury
No, no, I
anyone.
know. I think the nuns have been doing this illegal activity. Like, I think it was just normal, and they were capitalizing on it. Like, oh, we can kind of help them out with this scheme. I don't think
No.
there's a single nun buried in that cemetery. I
Oh,
think
I
the
think they're all. I
I think
think
the
they're.
Parisian government thinks there's a bunch of nuns there, but
No, no,
I think all the nuns are
Russ.
in the catacombs.
No, no, no. You're wrong. Because if that were the case, why would old wagon legs develop a reputation as a legend in the Vatican because of this one instance where he managed to get this nun's dying wish honored and going against
Oh,
serving Jesus instead of Caesar was the quote.
that's a
It's one of
good.
the funniest passages
Maybe. Oh,
ever.
I got it. Oh,
Is that an hour?
Javert's at the door. Yes.
Oh God.
Do you have a old man and a little girl?
O- Old wagon legs.
His name is
Man,
Fashalavent.
old Fauchelevent um, managed to be made legend in the Vatican because of the fact that he was such a dutiful gardener that he enabled the convent to defy Caesar in the service of God.
Yeah, I think he defied Caesar for multiple nuns.
No, no, no,
I
just
don't think
one.
nuns are dying left and right. I think they die like every 10 years. I think he did this every time.
Russ, I don't understand how you missed the point of this. That was such a dramatic scene because it's insane that this one time that a nun would be required to be buried within the convent needed an alibi. Like this does not happen. This hasn't happened before. How many other brothers do you think Fauchelevent has invented?
I'm just saying, we can have people in the chat comment. Do you think I'm right or is Mickey right? Please follow, subscribe, leave a review, and tell Mickey he's wrong. But real quick though, the mean gravedigger that Fishal
Mm,
event runs into, he reminded me of an Ari Aster character. Because I feel like Ari is always taking down the snobby academics in his
yeah,
especially like it reminded me of the dudes from Midsommar. They're like failed grad students, yet they're still
yeah.
super pretentious. And it's like, yeah, I was supposed to be great, but I'm a gravedigger now because I failed at life. But I'm still gonna call you a peasant. It was just so funny to see a gravedigger, and then you get the reward of like seeing how he lives, and it's just like, oh, you jerk.
Yeah. And the fact that he's outwitted by old wagon legs in the end. And his last line is, I'll pay for drinks next time. This man who declared he never drinks ever. Yes.
All right, everyone, that was Tome 2, Cosette. Mickey, what is, for people listening, when do we want them to have volume 3 read by?
Everybody, please finish volume 3 by October 18th.
We're still
And you'll
sticking with
be
that? I haven't
fantastic.
started.
Me neither. We're allowed to now. You set us free, Russ. We finally
Are
can
we,
continue into
you
more
still
use.
feel like October 18th is doable,
Absolutely.
even with all of our commitments?
Hmm. All of both of our commitments. We will see each other on October 18th to record. Until then, we'll be finding out what happens now with Jean Valjean growing old as his adopted granddaughter Cosette is educated by these nuns.
Ah,
And
and we get to meet Marius. Woo
yeah, who is
woo!
Maria?
I don't know, but he gets the name of the tome. All right. Well, until next time, everyone. Thanks for listening. Please follow and subscribe. And if you want to connect with Mickey, good luck finding him. Until next time, Mickey. Bonsoir.
Bon voyage.